Good evening everyone, welcome to the Haverhill Town Council meeting on Monday the 18th of December 2023. Please note this meeting is being recorded by the Town Council and where possible live streamed on YouTube. Please note that the recording device is sensitive and the live stream may be recorded by third parties, so do not say anything you do not want recorded. If necessary, I will direct all recording in the room and the live stream to be stopped. But generally, I want to avoid doing that, so we will normally record everything except any item taken in closed session. Members of the public may also make their own recordings, but must follow our rules for doing so, including stopping recording when requested. Whilst we do not accept anonymous speaking at the public forum, members of the public who wish to speak but do not want their name published must please indicate this before saying your piece. Thank you. Okay, so item 1 then is the apologies for absence. It'll be here a while.
Yes, we have apologies from Councillor Burns, Councillor Cox, Councillor Crooks, Councillor Davidson, Councillor Furman, Councillor Lucarini, Councillor Martin, Councillor Miller-James and Councillor Page.
Thank you. Item 2, casual vacancy. To note that following the resignation of Councillor Mark Marks, there now exists a casual vacancy in Haverhill West Town Board. Yeah, we're always sorry when a councillor decides to resign. But, did you want to speak?
If you don't mind, Chair, I haven't prepared anything in particular. What I would like to do is recognise the contribution that I feel that Councillor Marks has made over the years as a councillor, and will continue to do so as a West Suffolk councillor. In my report, I have stated that I do believe that there aren't that many residents with her particular expertise and experience in Suffolk that stands as a councillor. And I do believe it is a loss to this council that we've lost that. I often think, or look at a town council and think of a teaching staff at a school, and I like to think that we should have a breadth of experience and abilities and talents and energies, and I think Margaret brought something to the table which I think will be sorely missed. When I first started as a councillor, she said something very wise to me, which was, why should anybody vote for you, Joe? If you're not already doing something, why would people assume that you would do something if you were elected as a councillor? And for me, I thought that was a salutary lesson, and I think Margaret led by example. Volunteering is very much part of her makeup, as it is indeed many councillors, and I would encourage as many people to volunteer as possible, but I am aware of the countless hours Margaret spent on the COVID vaccination programmes. And also as a volunteer at the doctor's surgery, she was instrumental when e-consult came out, and although not perfect, it was actually touted across the country as an exemplar of how to do a different way of working, which actually proved very beneficial. Haverhill was years ahead, and Margaret spent a huge amount of work developing that. Having sat on committees with her, her reports have been phenomenally detailed, specifically on health. And I thought it would be remiss not to give recognition to, I think, her experience and the contribution that she's made. I'm sorry, as a friend and colleague, that she felt it necessary to step down. We all perceive things differently, and sometimes how we feel isn't necessarily how people perceive the same situation to be. I sincerely wish her well, and I look forward to working with her at West Suffolk, and I thank her for the time that she spent as a town councillor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mason. Okay, so this is just tonight that note that items back item 20. Thank you very much. Item 3 is declaration of interest and request for dispensations. So read members to declare any interest they may have on items on the agenda and agree any dispensations to say. Are there any? That's a no. Item 4, minutes of meetings of the Town Council held on Tuesday 28th of November 2023. To confirm the minutes of the Council meeting held on that date as a true record. So, So, I've a proposal. Councillor Hanlon, second Councillor Smith. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Thank you. So I've then to note the progress of any actions arising from the minutes not covered by this agenda. So, there we go. Item 23.49B5.
So Anglian Water have acknowledged my queries, but they haven't actually come back with an answer.
Okay. So no progress.
Well, I mean,
You progressed
they
it by...
thanked me for my email, and so
So 76, page 77, we've got starting to see then.
yeah, I have to say I haven't actually looked at the doodle poll to see what you've all said in terms of arranging the visit to the emergency control centre that covers it. So that's the kind of the getting back on the horse bit. So.
And the grant application, I think that's on the agenda later.
It's on the
so
agenda.
we'll skip over that. And the letter, I believe, was...
That's been done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, he did. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Moving on. That's about it. Okay, thank you very much. Item 6 then is reports from district county councils on issues pertinent to Haverhill and the public forum. So 6A is the police report, and we've had the figures sent through by John, Councillor Bones. Anybody else got any comments at all? No? We'll say that I'm now a full member of the Police and Crime Scrutiny Panel for my sins, so yeah, we'll be discussing the police and crime precept in the new year, so we'll see what comes out of that. 6B is county councillors. Now you've had Councillor Mason's report. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Can I just expand on one item, please, Chair?
Sure.
I think it's of interest to the council and of some frustration to this town council, and I recognise that. And that is the town centre signage that was taken down during COVID and hasn't been returned by Suffolk County Council. Councillor Burns and Councillor Greenley have shown a particular interest in this, and I just wanted to expand a little bit on it. So although they haven't yet been returned, believe me, it hasn't been through action on my part trying to get the wheels moving. We submitted a report in, I think it was late July, beginning of September, that Councillors Legrini, in fact all councillors contributed to in terms of things that they wanted to see. I was surprised at the beginning, at mid-November, I was told that it had been given to West Suffolk Council, and not Suffolk County Council, because there was some high street fund that West Suffolk are engaged with in terms of looking at the high street and the development of the area. I've now received notification that that may take a little bit longer, and West Suffolk have instructed Suffolk County Council to just get on and do the signage. So I'm as frustrated as everybody else, but that signage hasn't been done. I'm hoping that the snippet from the email that's in the report is sufficient evidence to give you a surety that it is moving forward. But my goodness, how slow.
Councillor.
Yeah, I was quite surprised that West Suffolk are actually going to be paying for signage in the High Street, which is Suffolk County Council thing, yeah?
I'm not sure what this high street fund is, and I don't think it's for the sign. I think it was meant to be as part of the package. I think the signage and the improvements was all meant to be created as a package, and then how it was funded, whether some came from Suffolk County Council for those particular signs, then other stuff that West Suffolk wanted to do was going to be funded by West Suffolk. I'm not entirely sure, but it's now been split, so the West Suffolk work will continue to advance, and hopefully Suffolk County Council can now get on. And that's what I'll be chasing. Look, you've now said you've got the go-ahead. Let's see those up as soon as possible.
The other part of that, and I was speaking to Mr. Pinnock earlier, around disabled parking spaces down near, it's down near the police station, isn't it?
Yes, as you go to the police station.
Yeah, well, apparently they're wrong. Eli tried to park there, because obviously his wife's disabled. And anyway, he couldn't get there the other day, and there's two people parking there that didn't have things displayed or whatever. And it just so happens the parking enforcement guy was walking past, and Eli changed and said, you know, his car's parked in disabled parking spaces, and you know, they haven't got any signs in the cars, and the parking enforcement guy said that unfortunately you can't enforce it because the signage is wrong on the post or something.
Yeah.
So
It's not sign up.
Right.
yeah, so if Edel can identify that where it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, that wasn't one on the list,
No,
so to speak.
No.
So,
I thought it was, but because I said to her, I think it's all been looked at, but obviously I thought I'd raise it with you just in case. And
Yeah, we talk here, I think, later on if you want.
I think Tony wants to expand on the funding, was it?
Well, I can say in terms of the issue with the signage, I can kind of understand why the County Council would want West Suffolk to get involved, because their money is for public realm, and I should imagine the purchasing value of that is going down and down and down. But in theory, what they do with the public realm in terms of resolution of the whole business of the interaction with traffic and pedestrians in the High Street could change what you write on the signs eventually, and therefore if that was going to be done quickly, there's an argument to say that, well, when West Suffolk tell us what the signs are going to need to say, then we'll either they can make them and we'll pay them back, or we'll then make the signs. But I don't think any of us would be surprised to hear that that is not going to be a quick win. So it does make sense that that signage is corrected. But to be perfectly honest, it's an issue with the traffic being allowed to come down Camps Road from Burton End after 10 o'clock in the morning, when there should be no entry signs after 10 o'clock, because you've got nowhere to go. You have to break the law to go up the High Street or turn around and go back. I don't know anyone who's going to voluntarily turn around and go back when everybody else is breaking the law.
So, yeah, that's nice.
so the officer at West Suffolk is David Osborne, who's looking at
Working with John Miles on that.
that would require a new TR,
Yeah.
and I suspect that would be generated by West Suffolk. I've been told there's going to be a consultation from West Suffolk and some engagement, so that will make the process a little bit lengthier. But any new TRs will form part of that consultation. I think what we're looking for is at the very minimum, and most of the signage that I think will be put back probably won't need to be changed. Some might be subtle.
There's a conflict between the signs.
Yeah, and I think the report that Councillor Burns assisted us with, that we put together, hopefully will resolve those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Councillor Burns knows
Yeah.
it.
So,
Road.
so you're saying the signs, so West Suffolk have offered to pay for the signs, or they are paying for the signs because they've got a certain funding, and it's signage relating to the highway, essentially.
So, the way that it was explained to me, and what I'm going to say probably isn't going to shed any light on it for you, there's something called a High Street Fund that West Suffolk manage, and it may be something to do with the public realm, and it is clearly a pot of money for the regeneration of high streets, or you know, which may include some signage, or it could include other things as well. The signage that County Council took down for COVID, they lost, and that's what we're looking for to have replaced, and any minor errors that are currently on the signs to be corrected, because as Colin says, some are in conflict. So there is a pot that West Suffolk hold, and it may be as an act from the consultation, but that's where that pot of money will be spent on a number of things, one of which may be signage.
Yeah, we need it done. I just think it's wrong that Suffolk County Council lost the signs and they're expecting somebody else to pay for replacement. That just seems, yeah, wrong. Anyway, yeah, where we are. The district councillors. Councillor Hammond?
Yeah, just to update on my report that I sent out very late last night, which I apologise for. When I reported the Dallum Place lights, it's all in the square, and all three of them, there's only 3 there lights, and all 3 of them are off. When I got on the reporting tool, which comes up with asks you what names it is, and a map, it wouldn't recognise the names. It seems like it only recognised roads, and when I put the roads nearby in, it didn't recognise them either. So luckily it's got an email alternative, so I've sent them an email about it. There is steps in this square, which is very, very dangerous. When I went to the fireworks and the fair, I came back that way, and luckily I had this on me. I had to light that to go down the steps. It's so dangerous. Really is. And I've quoted that on the email. I've got the normal standard reply back saying that they're doing it so many days. But I didn't state that this is very urgent for these 3 lights. Also, I attended, I've just mentioned, the Haverhill Rovers Christmas Fair, the first one that they put on, and it was really successful. I was talking to people as we was leaving, and they said that it was really, really good. They really enjoyed it. It's mostly for young children and what have you. I noticed there was special needs children there as well, which they really enjoyed. The fireworks are absolutely really good. Everyone was saying they were surprised how long and how good they were as well. Obviously, there's people complaining that are not online, which is a shame. That the noise of them, they didn't get any warnings, but they did advertise it a lot, ever so lot, many days that they were going to use fireworks and what have you. It's just, I don't know how we're going to get through to people that are not online, really. It's really hard. But that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, with that, Councillor Brown, thank you very much for that. Trying to think, it's been a short time since the last council meeting, so my time's really been taken up with mayoral things, so not really much to report there on my behalf. Item D, town councillors, any matters to report? No? Okay. E is members of the public are welcome to make statements or put questions at this time. Have you got anything you'd like to say?
No, I just wanted us to report what I spoke to Councillor Brown about regarding the parking day, the disabled parking day, and I think that Mr. Crooks, Councillor Crooks may have this in hand. I get to understand that you will try and push it forward to get the disabled official sign round there so that they can erect it, so that it can become officially that we have that the people who walk around as officers to ticketed the car, they can act on it. At present, I was told face to face that they cannot ticket anyone that park into those 2 designated bay if they're not showing a disabled badge, because of the official sign is not up there to enforce it. So that was a shocking surprise to me, because on the floor it clearly showed the disabled sign there, but the wording has to be up there from the council to enforce it, and that is not there. So that's what we would like to have, if you could push that forward for them to change it, so that those people who parking in those spaces without a disabled badge will be ticketed, and they will stop doing it and go to the car park and park and leave the badge bay open for disabled people who have their badge and wish to use it.
Thank you. Councillor
Thank you very much.
I'd like to reassure you, I will have a chat with Councillor Crooks. This is, it can be fixed via two routes. One, as Civil Parking Enforcement West Suffolk can request that sign to be updated, but ultimately it will be Strategic Highways that will look at the TRO for the disabled place. I would like to say to you it will be fixed quickly, but my experience is these things take months, not weeks. I will have a chat. I will have a chat with Councillor Crooks, and in fact, Councillor Roach, because it is on his patch as well. It's his district, and we'll see if we can get that moved forward.
We appreciate that. Okay. To fix it. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Item 7 then, grant applications over £2,000. This is one we discussed last week and needs a bit more information. It's Families Together Suffolk. We're asking for £4,892 towards the continuation of their perinatal service in Haverhill. Councillor Hammond.
Yeah, I propose that we pay the full amount. As I think we discussed last time, although we didn't have all the information, it's a service that's a need in this area. So I propose we pay the full amount.
Councillor Brown, was that to second or to?
No, I was just going
comments?
to make some comments on it. How much have we got left in the budget?
Plenty to pay. This wouldn't. It would be perfectly possible to pay. Obviously, there'd be 4,800 less.
Yeah, do you know how much that would leave us just for the rest of the year?
Dig into that. If this is going to work. So, if it was paid, it would leave 3,896.
Yeah, so my only concern is that we're only just over halfway through the year, and to just be left 3,800.
I would argue we're 3/4 away through the year.
Well, it's December. So it's getting that way, yeah. But I was looking at the locality budgets for the West Suffolk councils. At the end of this term, there was quite a few councils that hadn't spent their full budgets, which is a shame because that's money that we're missing out on, and we're paying as town council. I'm 100% behind what this organisation does, and it's fantastic. But all I would say is that it'd be nice if they could just go to West Suffolk councils as well, just to get a bit of that money, just help us out, so we've got a bit more money left for the rest of the year to help other people out. So,
Councillor Mason.
If they were to apply to me in May, I would be happy to support £1,500 from County Council funds, if that is of assistance to the council.
Are there any comments at all? So what you're saying is, sorry, Councillor Andre.
The work they do is very important, and I'm sure none of the other councils have suggested otherwise. To enable them to continue to do that work, we need to give them the security of the funding. I accept that we need a reserve of money to pay these sort of things, but this is good value for money, exceptionally good value for money. We're a very vulnerable group with very difficult tasks to fulfil. I'm in favour of supporting the whole amount, despite the fact Councillor Brown's concerns about how little it will leave in the pot. We ought to be spending the money.
So are you seconding the proposal? Okay.
just one little.
Yeah.
Do we know when they need the money for? Or
It seemed to be, to me, it was for general running costs, so not immediately.
Chair, can I come back?
Yeah, sure. That's amazing.
What I'm suggesting is, and I'm going on record in a public meeting, that I would support that application in May. By doing that, it puts an additional £1,500 into the council pot going forward to support the other grant applications between now and May for the town council.
Thank you. If I'm coming back to Councillor Brown saying, if we do pay the full amount now, you know, just kind of what Councillor Massey said at the moment, there's nothing to stop district councillors with money left over funding a future application.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
If it's helpful to members in terms of the progress of the 18,500 going through the year, so this is the end of month 9, and just doing a quick calculation, at the end of month 9, if we were spending it absolutely equally through the months, we'd be at 13,875. This would take us to 14,603. So it was something around the £850 mark, £825
Yeah.
over where we would normally expect to be.
Yeah.
So it's not far off on the scale of things. If you're expecting for it to be a bumpy average rather than a smooth average.
Yeah, to be fair then, I would say that, yeah, if we do get something come on and we're running short, yeah, obviously I'm more than willing to help, and Joe's potentially got some budget to help, so yeah, so I'll happily go along with what we're proposing.
Yeah. So we'll hold your offer up in advance, or perhaps another project?
In full honesty, it would depend on the merits of the grant application.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in principle, yes.
I think we've got a proposal on the second that we do grant the full amount anyway. Councillor Andre. So I think we should go along with that, test that then. So all those in favour? Those against? Yeah, obviously none against, there's nobody left. Okay, thank you, so that's carried. Item 8 is the Mayor's report, which was sent out last night, so if anybody has got any comments they'd like to make, if not, Councillor Mason.
Just your comments about the 2nd of December, the event. I've got to say, I thought it was a special event. Seeing the High Street and the Market Square so full of people and so many stalls, it can show the potential of what that High Street can look like. And I know comments from residents who were hugely appreciative of the council's efforts.
I think it was a little bit of a shame though that some of the West Suffolk Council was packing up some of the stalls quite early in the afternoon, like about 3 o'clock, and the market was advertised to be open until 4 o'clock. Some did stay open, but they were being asked to close, which
Shouldn't have been asked to be closed, but I would say that a lot of those market stall holders were freezing. It was an absolutely freezing day down there. It was the coldest day of the year, I think. It was absolutely one of those grey, freezing cold days, and I was quite surprised how many people were down there. And as you're saying, everyone had a terrific time, and it was great. I think it would have been even, a lot more people have been down there if it had been a little bit brighter. But so no, well done all involved.
Well, you could argue that you start it later and finish it later, but then you got the issue of having to set up a certain time for the regular market holders, haven't you? You don't want too much movement around.
The peak, sorry Chair, the peak times are normally sort of 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, aren't they? And then sort of places.
Yeah, but we were hoping they'll be down there later to tie in with the light switch and maybe, weren't we? I mean, that was I'm guessing that was the reason.
Well, I mean, I don't think we necessarily expected the marketeers to stay until the light switch on, because it would have been a hell of a long day if it had done. But to be honest, I would assume that if a market trader was doing well and had a queue, then they wouldn't have refused the business and closed. So I assume it must have been a natural time they felt they could leave.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. In terms of people who go to a market to buy fruit and veg, etc., they've probably been and done that route. There were other stalls that were more for people entertaining and hospitality, etc. Not necessarily buying some extra spuds or something like that, which you then have to carry to the fireworks.
Yeah, I think my point is the fact that some stalls were closing up earlier than others, and the bus up trucks were driving up the high street, you know, and I was doing with sticks, trying to dodge the trucks, you know, that wasn't very good.
It's very difficult because obviously there was a leapfrogging going on. Queen Street, we wanted to use Queen Street as much as possible, but the practicalities of keeping a clear way through Queen's Street for the emergency vehicles, etc. Actually, you can't then put gazebos down quite a lot of it because it simply isn't wide enough. Where it was wide, we put them, but it meant we had slightly more up the high street than we originally planned, but it's the only way we could fit them all in. There isn't a perfect answer, but I hope that it'll be interesting to get feedback from the businesses as to whether or not they found it better to have that additional markets on the Saturday rather than on the Friday evening, given many of them don't normally stay open on the Friday evening, but they were open anyway. So hopefully we helped the main market, we helped the makers market, we helped the retail businesses that are there all the time. We hope, but we'll need to get feedback.
Yeah, I was just nitpicking really, but it was a very good day. Okay, so item 9 then is the One Haverhill Partnership to receive a verbal update from the clerk.
So the board meeting has been pushed back to mid-January, I think 16th, if I'm right. I'll put the right date in the minutes if that wasn't correct. And the Ops Group meeting didn't take place, so there's nothing else to report.
Nothing at all? Anything ongoing with the subgroups or anything like that?
Not that I've particularly heard other than the Science Festival, which I've put some funding applications in, and that's coming along nicely.
You got any questions now? No? Okay. Thank you. Item 10 then is the adoption of committee reports. So A, Planning Working Party to remove the adoption of the minutes of the Working Party held on the 5th of December 2023 and any recommendations contained therein. Councillor Hannah.
Moved.
Proposed. Seconder. Councillor Andre. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. 11th, financial matters. A, to authorise the following payment list as is stated on your agenda papers. Proposer, Councillor Mason, seconder, Councillor Liz Smith, all those in favour? That's carried, thank you. The budget 2024-25 to consider the first draft budget for financial year 2024-25 as you would have received the end of last week. And you should have a copy of the papers there as well. Councillor Hammond?
Yeah, it's thank you, Colin, by the way. I'm looking at the impact on the precept, which is the sort of last paragraph from page 2. I see that it's come down by £9, something like that. Is this the final sort of figure, or could it sort of be lowered a bit?
I think first of all I should make it clear that it hasn't gone down. The increase we expected last year, we're able to come in below the increase we thought we'd need to.
Right.
So it's actually...
Well, that's what I meant really.
Yeah, so it's going up by... This one is showing it going up by £3 a year.
Yeah, it's going up to the year before, yeah.
But not quite as much as we thought it would do. But this is for you as councillors to decide whether or not the direction it's going in, whether you're happy in that. You've seen some of the figures as well. To challenge the numbers, to ask the questions. What I would say, and I think I've put clearly in this report, is that this is based on month 7. I haven't written that, I should have done. But to say, this is based on month 7. In the beginning of January, we'll have month 9 figures available, so we'll be much closer to having a lot of the water will be under the bridge. So when we're looking at performance for this year, it'll be much clearer. Some of the numbers that we've got at the moment are based on what it was up until September and October, but that's not representative necessarily. So it's a strange cross-section because we have a slightly wonky financial year. So by the time we get to the end of December, most of the big ticket stuff that the council does has happened, and January, February and March tend to be fairly mundane council months, just ordinary everyday council stuff as opposed to anything particularly big. So the January figures will be much more reliable than these are, simply on the basis that they'll be based on much more information.
Can I just come back?
Yes.
I've noticed that insurance has increased by 74%.
Yeah.
I think we're all feeling it. My car insurance is enormous. 300% it went up. But I didn't pay for that. Luckily I looked around and got it down to sort of 50-60% increase. But it's astronomical. Luckily I noticed that the heat and lighting's come down to offset that a bit. But
Well, the reduction in heat and light is greater than the increase in the insurance.
Yeah.
Some margin.
which is good. But the insurance increase is unbelievable. I just can't understand it. Why it's still the same. It's still the same type of thing you're insuring, isn't it? And yet, why has it gone up? Any idea why it's gone
Well, you
up?
recall from the last meeting that we had to split our insurance because the main insurers wouldn't insure anything with the zone. So we've insured the zone separately, and inevitably you become overlapped with the premiums that you're paying, and whilst you try and keep the insurances separate, the risks are to two different companies, so they see a total risk of one half and a total risk of another half. Whereas if one company insured the lot, it might well come to the conclusion that the risk of the whole is not really that much different to the risk of any one half of it. So they don't put so much premium on. Effectively, I guess we're paying for the insurance company to bet twice on every horse as a result. So it's very difficult for us.
Yeah, but why is it? I can't understand the logic of why they put it up, because they insured it before. We haven't had any major accidents or any accidents, have we?
The thing that they don't want to insure, they simply don't want to insure. They just say it's not what they're in the market for. So we are insured through a parish council plan. So it's a scheme that's been put together by the insurers, working with the brokers, that's then sold to 5,000 or 6,000 parish councils, and it covers the generality of what they do. The more specialised you become,
Right.
the greater the chance that you start doing something that insurers are not really interested in insuring because they don't see it as necessarily part of a mainstream parish council scheme. And relatively few parish councils do the sort of youth work that we do or run a soft play area. So they've simply said soft play is outside and everything to do with it is outside. I've talked to two different insurers which we will be asking to quote competitively against Aviva to try and pull everything back together as a single package, because that will hopefully provide a saving. On top of that, of course, the insurance has gone up, as you described, but we are paying the price of having to organise our insurance across different people. And I've had to allow for event insurances separate as well.
Councillor Entree.
My concern's about the insurance as well, and I was going to urge the clerk to go back and see if we can't find another company that will do the business we want, whether it's a parish council specialist or not. There are people out there who specialise in public sector insurance. We don't really know how much of this massive difference, and it is massive, is attributable to the increase in premiums generally, which we've all experienced, and how much is attributable to the split in the policies. I think we're asking the trouble if we continue to allow the policies to be split between more than one company. We're clearly doubling up on some of the cover, and we need to explore if we can't find somebody else. I know how difficult the insurance market is. I'm in it for charities as well, and we have exactly the same problem with parochial insurers.
So I have two insurers that I already discussed, so I will be doing that. Obviously, I can't budget for a hoped for reduction, but I agree with every word you said.
Councillor Smith.
Yeah, just a couple of queries. I'm looking at the contributions to the community trust. The figure for the contribution to arts seems to be gone up considerably. Is that just purely inflation and staff costs, or is it others? And also the income deficit support for the zone, why is that quite lower than we expected as well? Thank you.
So the income deficit support has gone up for the zone, but gone down for the arts centre. So if I can just find that. Yeah, so basically, if we have a look on that line, go across to, last year there was 111,000, 94,000 going to the arts centre. So looking at the arts centre ticket sales, their ticket sales are fully recovered. So it's not appropriate to describe the support going in as income support, because we're not supporting the income, it's recovered since COVID. The zone hasn't recovered, although it might have done better by the end of December, because we're moving back into a period of time when the zone is busier. As I was saying, in terms of what we base the accounts on, we've based the accounts on April to the end of September, which is covered May, June, July, August, September, when the children play outside and the zone doesn't have such great sales, whereas it may well do better, but we're based on what we've got. So the income deficit support is now mostly about the zone. The the shortfall in the arts centre is not down to a lack of ticket sales, it's down to the fact that whilst we've sold more tickets, the cost of sales hasn't necessarily improved. So we've got more activity here, but we're spending more money to make that activity happen. So to balance the books, what I've done is shift the income deficit support for the arts centre into the plain contribution to the arts centre. So it's still very clear for the public to see, but it's not being described as income deficit support anymore. So that figure therefore has gone up quite a bit. And you asked exactly the same question as Councillor Lucarini, so if I just find the answer I gave him. So This is it here. So I removed income deficit support as the ticket income has recovered. So the change in terms of budgeted taxpayer support is from 471,000 to 558, because you add 377 and the other figure together to get the public support. From what I can see, the drive for this increased support is increased activity at the Arts Centre. Busy the Arts Centre, the more expensive it becomes. The upcoming budget is driven more by the actuals from the current year than the budget. Staff costs might be 23% higher than the budget for the current year, but it's only 13% higher than where the actuals are heading. So whilst we've budgeted to provide £471,000 worth of support, we may well have to put another 30,000 in. So in which case the change in taxpayer support is from 501,000 this financial year to 558,000 next, which is 11%. Well, with the real living wage going up 10% and other costs going up, that seems to explain the 11%. It becomes quite believable that it could cost 11% more. But it's simply because the shift, as you can see, shifting money around it's actually probably going to cost us 500,000 this year anyway.
Councillor Brown.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a real shame about insurance, but I've seen this myself in the last 25, 30 years. The monopolisation of insurance companies, where I used to be able to shop around. One time I was with Aviva, then I'd go somewhere else to Norwich Union and one thing or another. And Aviva seems to be buying everyone out now. Yeah, over the years, they've just bought virtually every company out, and they've become more risk averse every year as well. That's the one thing that worries me personally every year for my business, is when it comes around to insurance time. It really is a worry, as if they're even going to, insure me. It's that bad, and there's just there's so few people out there that want to take it. They're just so risk averse, and I can fully understand. We're under a cosh, and there's not many people you can go to get insurance. So, I fully understand what's happening there, and it's a shame. I don't know why the government have allowed just such a few people to sort of run the market, which they do these days. It's really unfortunate. The other thing I was looking at is that we are, as a council, committed to the living wage. So inflation has hit everyone hard, especially the cost of energy, etc. So people do need a pay rise. I fully understand that. We've got on there a second assistant warden. Is that someone to help Kevin? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Has he got I didn't even know he had an assistant.
He hasn't got an assistant
Right.
at the moment, but obviously he'll be aware of the kind of frequency in which he's available to work, and we have to kind of future plan a little bit. So I think it would be prudent for us to have a second person. I mean, not least.
All right.
Yeah, you're saying second assistant.
Yeah, sorry, the way it's worded,
No.
it's like another assistant, and I thought he hasn't got one as far as I know anyway, so it's an assistant again.
Yeah, I don't know why I wrote second assistant.
Yeah, sorry, that's what confused me. I thought, I didn't know we had one.
I don't know why I wrote that.
Yeah.
So that is very confusing, yes.
Yeah.
It's an assistant.
Yeah, no, I fully
The
agree.
person to be the other end of the bench.
Yeah,
speaking in
I
professional.
understand that, personally, I don't like to see council tax go up at all, or no more than it needs to, but I can't see what cuts we would make and the impact that would have on the town. The events that we put on, we committed ourselves to the zone, we committed ourselves to the splash pad and things like that to try and make people's lives better. We've got to fund them, we've got to pay for the upkeep of them, we've got to staff them. I've had a look through everything, and there's, other than little bits and pieces, a few quid here, a few quid there, which I can't see any way round other than going with what is proposed, unfortunately.
Before we answer Mason, can I just ask, the reserves say you hit them hard in 2024, and you doing 10,000 this year. By increasing that, what sort of effect would that have on the bottom line council tax?
Well, on council tax, I mean, in theory, I would bear in mind that earmark reserves in the main are at your kind of beck and call to cancel them all and put them into general reserves. And you could artificially, for 1 year at least, you could put council tax down. But it would mean that we didn't have reserves for rainy days and for planned expenditure in the future, and those reserves are invested and generating money, which is offsetting some of the fact we don't have as many people paying council tax as we might like. So it would have a double whammy of permanently spending money that is supposed to be being saved for a particular purpose. When that particular purpose comes along, we won't then have the money. We'll have to put the precept up double to catch up with ourselves, and whoever's councillors then will be having to face the questions to why council tax has to go up massively.
Yeah, so it looks good on
Apart
face
from that,
of it,
apart
but
from that,
it's a good idea. Councillor Mason.
Just briefly talking about insurance costs, I run a very small organisation, Haverhill show. We've seen our public liability go from the high 700s to the over thousands, and across the board, how small businesses, how small businesses or small organisations can continue to fund these increases. I don't know. If I've missed it, I apologise. How aggressive have we been in looking at finding sources of income from other places, grants? Can we be more? Is there scope for being more proactive in looking for additional funds? How would you characterise the past year? How successful have we been? And is there scope for trying to offset some of the costs? Whilst you can't build it into your budget, and I appreciate that, but it might make life easier when we come to talking about the budget next year.
I can get the actual numbers for you, but I would characterise it as that we actually do quite a lot. Certainly the youth work and youth skills, etc. We're constantly increasing funding. Arts centre, arts projects. We report funding coming through. It always depends on whether or not something that we're doing, we can find a grant that's available so that somebody else pays for it instead of the taxpayer of Haverhill, which is always the ideal situation, and we do push that. The only thing is, of course, is that you can't actually put it in the budget. You can benefit from it afterwards and end up with your general reserves better off, but it's not something that you can, well, you could, it would probably be ill-advised to put to deliberately write in an anticipation of grant funding just on a wing and a prayer.
There was a point I was trying to make about general reserves next year. If they were looking particularly healthy, then that could inform.
They're not looking particularly healthy at all. If we look at the general reserves, general reserves have been dropping. They were up in the kind of 250,000 mark. They're down to 202,000 in the same time. The expenditure has risen from 1.2 million to 2 million. So whilst we're supposed to keep about, for an organisation our size, about 3 months of general reserves. Generally speaking, the bigger the organisation, the lower the number of months, because it just becomes an obscene figure. A very small parish council might be expected to have at least a year's worth of reserves, but if you've got a precept of £6,000 in reserves, actually you could think of plenty of things that could happen to a small parish council that wouldn't go very far. But for us, 3 months, so a quarter of our expenditure is £500,000, and we've got 200, so we're 2/5 of of what might be considered reasonable. The last time we looked at a policy for this, we said we needed to get the number to go up. But in actual fact, the reality has we've struggled. I mean, this year, the local council tax relief at source, absolutely vital support for many people in Haverhill, but obviously an impact on us. £170,000 this year alone is the impact on the council. So if we had that available, then we wouldn't be putting the precept up at all, and we could probably help our general reserves.
We have been trying.
No,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's
Making that wrong.
you know, our tail can only try to wag the dog for so long.
But
But
the GR efficiency, is that general reserve as 50% of the precept? Is that?
yes.
Copying? Yeah.
Chair,
Sorry, I've got a copy of there, sorry.
That's a manual number, and I haven't updated it, so I can guarantee that it's
Okay.
accurate.
Councillor Fondre.
Clearly, we have some concerns, but given the amount of issues that we're mitigating, particularly insurance and real living wage, it's very good to be in the position we're in at the moment. I think that's a relatively modest increase, albeit it's an increase we'd rather not have, and it sets our sights well for January when we make the final decision. And I'd like to thank the town clerk for the efforts already made. Raising issues isn't criticism, it's suggestions.
No, absolutely. That's why it's on the agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Hammond.
Councillor Andre, I withdraw.
Yeah.
Councillor Andre's said exactly saying what I wanted to say. I
Thank you.
withdraw.
Thank you. So that is, I think, it's that due consideration, aren't we?
Yeah, and I think the kind of the mood I'm getting is that this is fine, but if actually when we look in January at what month 9 looks like, then if we could continue to push it down, if we're more confident in some of the figures, then just keep going in that direction.
Yeah, I think that's general consensus.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
And obviously the community events committee will look at events, etc., what the scope is for trying to reduce the costs on some of those, whether any of the events. We did talk about the paver in the park, about making that shorter, etc. So that discussion will take place in January just beforehand. So there'll be some rapid updating.
Thank you. Item 12 then, policy review. To review the following policies. A is safeguarding. We've had a chance to read through this. I think they're pretty comprehensive documents, aren't they?
Well, it's not just us that's been writing them.
Yeah.
These have been written by people in Suffolk County Council and elsewhere.
So, I don't know if there's just one of the other ones. We've got different policies for the zone and for the rest of
For
the
health and safety, there is,
Oh,
yes.
okay, sorry. So, is anybody going to any comments first on A, the safeguarding? Propose that we accept that. Councillor just went up first, and Councillor Andre seconded. All those in favour? Thank you. And same question again for B, health and safety. That's all. Is there anybody who'd like to make any comments? No. I have a proposal to accept those then. Councillor Andre, the seconder. Councillor Liz Smith. So I can't stay. And all those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Item 13, actions taken under delegated powers, which have been done. Item 14, to receive urgent correspondence. To note any urgent correspondence received after the agenda was published. No. Item 15 is the date of next meeting, which is Monday the 29th of January 2024, commencing at 7 p.m. Item 16 is closure. Close this meeting at 20:29.